Hello, welcome to the July 2013 video edition of the Iowa General Fund Monthly Revenue Memo. I'm Jeff Robinson, Senior Fiscal Analyst for the Iowa Legislative Services Agency, the nonpartisan support agency of the Iowa Legislature. This video will cover Iowa Net General Fund revenue for the 12 months ending July 2013, and I will concentrate on net tax revenue over the most recent 4 months. I will also review a 23-year history of an index of Iowa's economic performance when compared to all 50 states. Iowa Net General Fund revenue posted a very small decrease for the month of July 2013 when compared to the previous July. However, there were a number of significant tax due date and revenue processing issues impacting both July 2012 and July 2013, issues that make even adjusted comparisons very difficult at this time. To smooth out some of these processing issues, I will now turn to the 12-month and 4-month growth rates for 4 categories of general fund tax revenue. The math is presented on a net basis, meaning tax refunds have been subtracted from gross revenue deposits. Over the 12-month period ending July 31st, net tax revenue increased a significant 8.6%, led by a 14.4% increase in individual income tax revenue. All 4 tax categories were positive for the annual period. The second column shows that for the April through July 4-month period, overall growth was even higher at 9.8%, led by a 20% increase in individual income tax revenue. I now add to this table a final column showing the dollar growth in net tax revenue over the 4 months, and we can see that individual income tax accounts for more than the entire growth in total net tax revenue, as corporate income tax and sales and use tax revenue declined over the period. The growth in individual income tax has been heavily influenced by 2012 tax year returns filed this spring, and those returns were themselves impacted by income tax changes at the federal level, changes that were debated throughout the fall of 2012 and put in place by Congress January 1st. Iowa individual income tax revenue benefited significantly from those federal changes, but the benefit will be a one-time occurrence. There are very few widely available and long-term state-by-state indicators of relative economic performance. One organization that does produce such an indicator is the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. They have long produced a monthly coincident index for each of the 50 states. The state indexes combine 4 state-level variables to produce a single indicator of that state's current economic condition. The variables are all employment-related and include non-farm payroll employment, average hours worked in manufacturing, the state's unemployment rate, and inflation-adjusted wage disbursements. For this graph, I have first calculated the 12-month moving average of each state's index value. This removes the significant variability shown in the monthly data. I then calculated the 3-month percent change in that average, and finally ranked the states according to each state's percentage growth in the index value. What is presented in the graph is a 23-year history of Iowa's rank compared to all 50 states in this percentage growth statistic. The horizontal red line depicts a rank of 25 of the 50 states. A rank above 25 means Iowa had a faster growing index than the average state, and a rank below 25 indicates an index growing slower than average. The graph indicates that the Iowa economy has generally outperformed most states since the onset of the last recession that began December 2007. And it also indicates that the state economy has recovered from a 2011 stint below average. The graph also indicates that during the recession of the early 1990s, Iowa also ranked near the top of state economies, and that during the economic heyday of the late 1990s dot-com era, Iowa ranked only 1 spot from the bottom. It is interesting to note that it was at that time that Iowa's unemployment rate was at or near its lowest point on record. To summarize, July 2013 was a slightly negative growth month, but revenue processing issues make the 1-month interpretation difficult. Look at both the 12-month and 4-month growth rates show significant gains, but a large portion of the recent outstanding performance can be tied to federal tax changes enacted at the beginning of the calendar year. For good Iowa revenue growth to continue, we will need the other revenue sources to begin to improve. The monthly indicator produced by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia indicates the Iowa economy has generally outperformed the average state since the start of the last recession, and the recent trend indicates more of the same. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and interest in Iowa General Fund revenue. Please check out the next monthly video memo that will be posted in early September.